and this is the Outlet Forum with my esteemed co-host, Chris Camello. What up, Chris?
What up, Chaez? 2 wins away from the World Series. That's got to feel pretty good, but so close yet so far.
Yes, sir. Dodgers. We will be talking some Dodgers, especially as they go up 2-0 in the NLCS. We'll also talk, obviously, some NBA, as this is a basketball show. Luka has impressed in his preseason debut, and the Lakers are playing right now as we speak in Vegas against the Mavericks. We'll give some updates about that game as it goes along. Also, it's a season to remember, Chris. The NBA season is upon us. It starts on Tuesday. So, of course, we got to get in some picks on some awards. The major ones like MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, Rookie of the Year, and who are the champions of this upcoming season that we think it will be. And, of course, we got to get into NFL Week 7, coming off a spectacular Week 6. And you know I got some picks for you guys, as always. But, Chris, we got to start off first with the hometown, LA Lakers, doing their thing. They go down again in the preseason, which is kind of expected when you're not playing your 2 or 3 best players in some of these games. But the story is that Luka Doncic absolutely impressed, especially with Austin Reeves on the floor. He goes for 25 points in the first half, only plays a couple minutes of the third quarter before being pulled. What did you see from Luka that you loved in terms of his game? This is the first game that he's played since his new makeover and his losing of weight and all these other things about the summer that was Luka. What did you make of his debut, and what does this mean for the Lakers moving forward, especially with LeBron James being out for the next, what is it, like 3 to 4 weeks minimum?
Yeah, it's going to be a month. It's a sciatica. I mean, those things flare up on any point, any time, sometimes even any age. And for a guy that's about to go into year 23 and going to be one in the next couple of months, yeah, you're not super surprised that, you know, so the years of wear and tear, the excessive miles of playing playoffs for as long as he has, it's catching up to you. And here's the thing with Luka. Luka looked fantastic. He did. I mean, he looked good during Eurobasket. I understand why the Lakers did not want to put him in any preseason because he was just coming off of a whole European tournament back in September. So to see him get out there and do what he did was not surprising at all. I mean, obviously, take it for what you will. He was doing it against mostly the Phoenix Suns backup or the backup. 22 points so in that first half. I mean, he was just absolutely dominant. He looked like he was in midseason form, and that was definitely it was definitely relieving in the sense of you think that all of this stuff was just for show. You wanted to make sure that it was going to have a positive impact on his game, because one of the things that has made Luka such a special player, Chaez, is the fact that he's a difficult match because of his size. That's the thing. He's a guard, but he plays dude. You know what I mean? You can never really speed him up. That was the one thing that I wanted to see during this whole body transformation and losing weight and getting in the right conditioning, and hopefully that limits how many injuries that he will have to deal with, like last year dealing with the calf injury. And it's one thing to see it at the European level, no disrespect, because a lot of those guys do end up playing in the NBA anyway. But it's another thing to see it at the NBA level. You know, now preseason, season about to start next week. It was definitely it was a great sign to see that. It also looks really good. DeAndre Ayton has looked good. You see Gabe Vincent.
Yes.
You know, he's been on. He's been on fire.
Popping off 5 threes in a row to start the Dallas game.
Dude, 18 points in 5 minutes, I think. I mean, just insane. So yeah, I mean, a lot of guys look good. Jared Vanderbilt, even LaRavia is starting to come around a little bit. Obviously, you're trying to ease everybody back in. They still have one more preseason game going. This has been a wacky schedule. They didn't play for 7 days. Then you have a back-to-back on a like, who the hell does that? Who schedules a back-to-back on a preseason? Gosh, get your shit NBA scheduling. Yeah, exactly. No, but I'm just saying, I understand it wasn't a lot of trouble, but the fact you have to play a preseason back-to-back is silly to me. But hey, this is where we're at. They have one more, and then the season starts next week. I think if anybody could handle this with LeBron being gone, it's Laker team. With Luka and Austin Reeves lead charge and a good assortment of role players. That's the thing. Luka knows how to play alongside another good ball-dominant guard. His whole career, Jalen Brunson, Kyrie Irving, he's had success with these guys, and I don't see it being much different between him and Austin Reeves. And then one will have to be made. I think concern, and we saw this last night, Chaez, it's going to be the backups. That's going to be a concern. If guys like Jordan Goodwin and Jared backups for the Phoenix Suns, maybe stringers, are dropping points and 22 points on your head, that is a concern. But that's the only concern I have, and I think that's one that's going to have to really play itself out as the season goes on. Your thoughts?
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. Like, the catalyst is DeAndre Ayton. If DeAndre Ayton can give 18 to 25 points a night and consistent rebounding more than anything and just protecting the rim, like, that's going to change everything for this Lakers team, because you have Luka on the outside, somebody that you didn't have before, but you can match some, not all, but some or most of the production that you lost with AD. Getting DeAndre Ayton was the biggest move for the Lakers. I mean, the next one was Marcus Smart, but the fact that you have a point of attack defender, if he can stay healthy, that's going to be very, very beneficial for the Lakers, because you have a point of attack defender, somebody who can protect the rim in DeAndre Ayton, and then you got Luka on the outside and Austin Reeves. I mean, this guy, he's going to go for being an all-star, but it's going to be really tough because he's got Steph and, Booker and so many players in his way, even Luka on his own team as a guard. But it's just Austin Reeves is playing for the bag, and rightfully so. He turned down whatever the qualifying offer was from the Lakers this past offseason, or last year, I should say, and betting on himself because he's going to get that bag.
And it's funny you say that, because I want you to you could even expand on this. They're all playing for the bag. With the exception of Luka Doncic and Jared Vanderbilt, nobody is guaranteed in the Laker uniform beyond this season. A lot of player options, unrestricted free agents, which includes LeBron James. So we talked about that, or optionality is what he wanted to call it. Okay, bougie Rob, I'm trying to be Rob Lowe, Pelinka. We get it. Optionality, new word of the day. Would you Merlot with that vocabulary? Anyway, but no, the point is, when you have that type of optionality, I think it does create more urgency. And I'm glad you brought that up. It's not just Reeves playing for the bag. Obviously, he's going to be the one that everyone's going to be looking at, because I think the question is going to be, can he be a long-term number two, a co-pilot next to Luka Doncic? If this is the movie Flight, is he going to be, first officer Ken Evans to Denzel Washington Whitaker? And if you haven't seen Flight, check out that movie. Can he the Robin to Luka's Batman? And I think if their is out, I think that's really what the future could be with Luka and Reeves in the backcourt. Still have but that's definitely something to keep an eye on moving forward. And to be on their best behavior and be motivated, not just to win, but to get a multi-year deal from the Lakers or somewhere next year. I think that's very important.
Yeah. I'm over here looking at how the Lakers are playing in this preseason, and I love it so far. So I don't know how far they can get and what they're going to look like by the time LeBron James gets back, but it's really going to, like, you don't think everything is going to fall apart. That's at least what you can bank on. And the Mavericks playing without Kyrie, very impressive this preseason so far. So it's going to be a very interesting season, and I gotta think, Chris, that there's going to be quite a few surprises that we have coming up as we go into the season. So that begs a question: how do we see this season playing out? So let's go ahead and get into some of our picks that we have for this season upcoming. I'm going to let you go first because I'm going to let you set the table on this because you got MVP, defensive player, rookie, and then the NBA champions. Those are the four picks. Not really coach, not really six man. You know, I mean, if you want to give those, that's fine. Division winners, we don't need to talk about. All stars, we know who they are. There's always a couple surprises, but these are the ones that we really, really care about ultimately. So, what do you got?
Sure. Yeah. I think with MVP, hard not to have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and or Nikola Jokic in that conversation. They've been in that conversation the last 2 or 3 years. I think that they're going to continue to be in that conversation. Does that mean that they're going to win? No, because when you have set the standard as they have, unless they do something else extraordinary, your teams end up in first place, it's going to be hard to justify giving it to them again. So I think the Riders, as they do every year, Chaz, they continue to move the goalposts. They always redefine it every year so that they could widen the umbrella of the vacation so that more players could include it in it. And I think if Luka Doncic this year, and particularly what he can do while the Lakers are without LeBron James, which I think could end up being more than 3 to 4 weeks. I thought this was just sort of a, downplaying, maintenance for LeBron. No, this potential serious. I think Luka should be in the conversation this year for sure. He's been in the years past, but he's always kind of come up short. So I think Doncic, to me, should definitely be a finalist, if nothing else, this year. Another guy to kind of keep an eye on if he ends up having a great year and his team does really well this year is the Ant-Man. Going to take that next big step forward. Did you want to give your picks for MVP or did you keep going for Depoy, Roy, and champion?
Keep going.
Okay. So that's so MVP outside of SGA, outside of Jokic, I'm keeping my as well as Ant-Man. For Depoy, Victor Wembanyama. I think that's going to be one of the guys to really keep an eye on this year. Wemby is that dude, man. He's outstanding. And I think, I'm glad he's put the blood clot thing behind him that really derailed him this season as well as derailed the San Antonio Spurs. But assuming he's healthy, I don't see anyone really challenging him for that spot as for Offensive Player of the Year. So that's going to be my guy. Rookie of the Year, it's going to be not to give it to Cooper Flag, man. This is not a particularly strong draft class. I'm looking to see who's going to have, maybe Dylan Harper from the Spurs to kind of keep an eye on in that spot. So, we'll keep an eye on him in San Antonio. No, he's not going to be better than, as well as I do, there's usually finalists, right? How this works. So that would be the only other guy.
Okay, you're just saying Dylan Harper as a finalist. Absolutely. Yeah.
To keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Yes, as a finalist, getting flags to win or lose. And as champions go, I know everyone's going to keep their eye on the Oklahoma City Thunder. But Chaz, we have not had a repeat champion since the Warriors went back-to-back in 2017. Not to mention, we haven't even seen a team to the conference finals since winning a championship. And that also includes the 2020 Lakers. So it is the recent history, I should say, is not on the side of the Oklahoma City Thunder. So with that being, who do I think could end up winning the championship this year? It's going to be tough. For the East, I think this would be as good of a time as ever for either the Knicks or the Cavs to come out of the East. As far as the West goes, I would say you got, it's hard not to put Denver in that conversation. I think Houston is definitely worth the watch, but something tells me they're going to fall a little short in capacity unless they're able to land Jrue Holiday. So right now, the NBA champion for me this year, that's a tough. I'm going to go Denver. I think I'm going to be wrong,
Chris,
but I'm going to go. I'm going to go with Denver.
Guys, we did not discuss this. We did not share picks. I was going to pick Denver as well for just the simple fact that they replaced that.
You hate Denver.
Correct. I was just about to say that. I hate Denver, but I go back and forth and down the list, and oh, the only team that's like a resemblance of itself as is, minus, they got rid of Michael Porter Jr., but they got Bruce Brown and got rid of Russell Westbrook.
Mm-hmm.
So I just, and then you get,
yeah.
I just think Denver is just the
Cam
team.
Johnson, still solid.
Yeah, and ironically, I was to be honest with you, I don't think I was gonna think about actually picking the Clippers, but they definitely crossed my mind when I was thinking about who might actually be hoisting the trophy. So it was between the Nuggets, the Knicks, and the Clippers, and I just went with Denver. So Denver, I'm going to start with. That's my pick for champions this year. Rookie of the year, I'm going Cooper Flag. It's not even going to be close. Kind of like Wemby as the rookie of the year going into his rookie season. Defensive player, I think Bam Adebayo is going to have something to prove. He's always in that conversation, especially coming off of the bad season that the Heat had with Jimmy Butler. That's going to be my pick. I would like to pick AD, but I don't think he's going to play enough games this season. They're going to manage him because they need him for the long haul in the playoffs. So, and AD's a bit older now, so I think the Bam might have. And just to be quick, Giannis and obviously Victor Wembanyama were the other two players that I was thinking about that. But Bam, I'm going to go ahead out on a limb and just say him. And MVP, I'm going with Luka. Luka is the guy that I think is going to just have that narrative. He's just like, he's already having the narrative going into the season, and that's what MVP is about, narrative, right? And Luka hasn't really had a season where it's like, okay, he is the best guy. Like, it's been close with him and Jokic, but there hasn't been a season where like Luka is definitively the best player in the league. And I think this season is that season for that to potentially happen. So I'm going Luka, Bam, Flag, and Nuggets for my NBA
Interesting
picks.
Yeah. And for sure, I think,
and
I just think Denver,
quick as a bonus.
Yeah,
quick as a bonus, Chris.
Yeah.
Really quick. I'm gonna let you finish. But I think Mike Brown might be coach of the year for the Knicks in 2 stops.
The issue
in the last 5 years.
Yeah, 2 stops, and actually it would be 3 for his career. Cleveland, 2009, I believe, 2009 or 2010. He was coach of the year then. He's the thing with Mike Brown is the narrative is he's a really good regular season coach. The problem is he was in the postseason. That's been the knock on him in his career. He had that finals run with the Cavs in 2007, has not been back to a finals as a head coach ever since. And granted, some of his stops were shorter than others. The Lakers situation didn't really work out. I don't think he was ever really given, but just wasn't the right coach. But yeah, I think the bigger story is out of that East with Boston. Boston is going to be kind of a mess this year. And by the way, you can maybe throw Jaylen Brown into one of these conversations, perhaps for MVP. Maybe I think there's a few guys there in the East that you could also throw in there. But the fact of the matter is, for the East, should come down to New York and Cleveland. That 1 and 2, those should be the last guys standing. But Chaez, as you know, injuries of attrition, it really has decided a lot in recent years. If you're not healthy, more than likely you're going to get knocked out sooner than later. And that's really one for a lot of these teams. I mean, who had Oklahoma City, Indiana last year? Maybe people had OKC, but they didn't have Indy, in the finals. So there you have it. So it'll be an interesting season. And I just think it's going to be about who's going to be the healthiest. But going back to, I couldn't agree with you more. I think he's going to be the favorite. And if he's healthy and the Lakers a top 2, top 3 seed like they were last year, believe me, he'll definitely be in that conversation.
He's not the favorite, though. He's not the Vegas betting favorite to win it all. It's SGA. Or MVP.
Of course, because he's the incumbent. Just like Oklahoma City is going to be the favorite to win the championship again this year. But, there's a lot of full stomachs, and that's still a young team. And how can they contain that hunger? That's where the maturity is going to kind of kick in. And they didn't add any new blood to this team this year. And that's always the concern. Everyone's always about run it back. But need some of those new guys so you have a motivation like we're trying to win it for fill in the blank. You know what I'm saying? And I like it with OKC. I wonder if that's going to come back to bite them. So we'll see.
We shall see. Let's switch. Yeah, I know, right? That was pretty crazy that I picked them. Dodgers. We promised you guys some Dodgers talk. So let's get into that a little bit. The craziest stat that I saw is that the Dodgers' 2 starters between Blake Snell and Yoshi Yamamoto have pitched 17 of the 18 innings so far this series against the Milwaukee Brewers. Yamamoto throws a complete game gem, only 1 run, 0 batters in scoring position. He gave up a leadoff home run. Blake Snell threw an absolute nasty and should have finished the game. Roki shouldn't have came in. I think he should have finished the game personally, but in the moment, I thought it was the right move to bring Treinen in for Roki in the first place. I'm not even going to ask you the question. I do think that the Dodgers will sweep the NLCS, or they have a good chance to at least, especially coming home. But I'm going to ask a better question, actually. Whose gem do you think was better, Yamamoto's or Snell's? All right. Well, it looks like we're having some technical difficulties. I think that it was Snell's, personally. Go ahead. I'll let you, since you're back. Go ahead.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
We're going to bring Chris back on in just a moment as he's getting things resituated. But I'm not going Snell. I'm going with Yamamoto. Yamamoto actually finished the game. He had to bounce back, especially after that first Jack leadoff home run that he gave up, and then settled in. I knew he was going to settle in, but I didn't know he was going to settle in for that first inning, the rest of that inning, and 8 more to completely finish the game on his own without any more runs scored, let alone any other batter in position to even score. So I'm going to go with Yamamoto's. I think Blake Snell had the nastier pitches and just a dog of an outing. But ultimately for me, Yamamoto, like the fact that he threw a complete game, almost a shutout, is just beyond amazing to me, especially in today's day and age, because it's been over 8 years since the last time somebody did that. I think the last time was Roy Halladay's no-hitter that he threw in the postseason. In the postseason again, not regular season, just straight up postseason. So let's see if Chris is back to give his opinion on who threw the better gem. Chris?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. I'm not sure what happened there. Sorry about that. So first of all, outstanding performances. And I go back to spring training with or even last offseason. What were they trying to do? Beef up the rotation again. Get Glasnow back healthy. Obviously maintain Yamamoto. Bring back Kershaw. Add Blake Snell. Not just add guys that, we're going to be good starters in October. And so far, I mean, we saw what Yamamoto did last year in the playoffs. He was outstanding. He got off to a rough start in that game 1 against the Padres, but after that, he was really good. Blake Snell's been doing it his whole career. San Diego, Tampa Bay, he's always put out great starts. And the thing is with Snell is that now he's going deeper into ball games. He's not just a 5-6 inning pitcher, but he's getting into 7-8 innings, and he's doing it efficiency. He faced the minimum through 8 innings. He gave up a hit, but the runner was thrown out in that same inning. So he was rolling out there. Unfortunately, I did not see the problem Well, let me go back. I didn't see the problem with bringing in Sasaki. I think Snell was over 100 pitches. He was rolling. He did enough for you. Roki Sasaki's been nails for you in the postseason. You got a 2-run lead out there. Unfortunately, Roki's very sharp. The velo was down. Jake Bauers put a good swing on a ball to deep center. But it was really the command. That was the problem. He was falling behind on hitters. He was walking guys. And now they started putting more pressure on him. That's when you have the stress innings. You know what I mean? Something that Snell didn't have and something that Yamamoto didn't have. And it was ballsy to take out Sasaki, but he didn't have it. Trinan goes in there, walks a guy. I think it was Yelich. Nearly hits Bryce Terang, but then he gets him to strike out to end the game and preserves the 2-1 game. What Yamamoto did yesterday after that leadoff home run to Churio, he locked in. But more importantly, efficient innings, no stress innings, scattered 2 hits, scattered a walk. He was never under any pressure. And the fact that the Dodgers were tacking on and started to slightly open the game up, I was waiting for that big hit to clear the bases and make it like 8-1, 9-1. It didn't happen. But I also think Doc was like, you know what? I'm not going to stress myself out. Yama's been good, and he hasn't been under pressure. Let me throw him out there for the 9th inning. And you know what? It worked. I'm sure Vesia and somebody else was probably moving around, warming up just in case. But what those 2 guys did on the road, a hostile environment against a team that was 3-0 at home in this postseason against Chicago was very impressive. They absolutely dominated the Brewers' offense through those first 2 games. Now, does that mean that the series is over? No. We saw tonight. Look what happened with the Jays. Jays looked dead in the water after what Seattle did to them. And they thumped them tonight 13-4 in Seattle, by the way. So anybody at any point in time can lose. I'm just saying, let's not count our chickens yet before they can hatch. And let me tell everyone keeps bringing up the 96 series. Go back just 2 years ago. Texas took the home field from the Houston Astros in the 2023 ALCS. The road team won every game of that series. Houston looked dead, right? They win 3 in a row at the park in Arlington, and then the Rangers go back to Minute Maid Park, Houston, to win the next 2 games. My point is,
yeah, Chris, of course, we've seen crazier things happen.
Unpredictable. So, yeah.
We've seen, but these are the Dodgers with Ohtani and these 4 starters of Glasnow, Ohtani in game 3 and 4. You're not beating the Dodgers 4 out of the next 5. Albeit that you swept them 6 games straight 3 months ago in the middle of the season, which is not the team that you're facing any longer, because that team in July had Ohtani, who wasn't even pitching 3 or 4 innings. You had Blake Snell, who was out at that time, and you had Glasnow, who was just inconsistent up and down, and Kershaw was the best pitcher starter at that time consistently. Well, actually, Yamamoto was, because he had over 30 starts. But even Kershaw was doing great numbers. So ultimately,
Kershaw was pitching like an ace. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that ultimately it's over for Milwaukee. It's just a matter of how the Dodgers do it. Do they lock in and finish it in 4 or 5, or do they take their foot off the gas pedal and make it 6 or 7? That's, to me, what'll happen. And I'm going to try and make it to game 3, because I do think that game is going to be the deciding game in the series. It's not going to be game 4 or 5. It's game 3, because if Milwaukee can go into LA and steal it, just like Seattle did, or the Blue Jays did in Seattle, then we got a series on our hands. But I just have a feeling that that's not going to happen, given the momentum that this team has and how locked in that they are. And Dave Roberts, this might be the best managerial job that we've seen from him in any year that he has been with the Dodgers, because there have been so many expectations on the season, for the season not to go anything like anybody expected, and to still be 2 wins away from a World Series is just downright impressive. So, and to possibly even have home field,
absolutely,
in that series as well, let alone.
And you're doing it with the struggling Shohei Ohtani at the top of your order. You're doing it with Freddie Freeman not having his best stuff. You're doing it with Andy Pages, who, he was 1 for 27 in the playoffs. So, got a guys in that lineup struggling that hasn't really gotten rolling. They've won 12 out of 13 going back to the regular season. So this team has really peaked at the right time. They're getting contributions from everyone. Different guys have stepped up. Yeah, the bullpen has not been super reliable at times, but they've still gotten job done. They've done enough. Roki Sasaki has provided a solid foundation for the back end of it. And yeah, he had a rough outing the other night. And hopefully it's not, something that potentially gets exposed moving forward. I think it could have just been, just lack of command. It could have been a bad night. Could have been a side effect of, going to 3 innings in game 4 against the Phillies, but they are right now in a prime position to get and knock out the Brewers and await the winner of Toronto and Seattle. But you still got to go out. You got to hit. They're going to have Jose Quintana going out there. I got to imagine Mizorowski is going to probably make an appearance in game 3 because Milwaukee also knows we can't go down 0-3 and think that we can beat these guys. Just like Toronto tonight. Toronto knew if we go down 0-3 to these guys, we're done. So they jumped on George Kirby and their offense got rolling like they did against the Yankees, and now they've made it a series again. That's going to be Milwaukee tomorrow night. So we'll see what the Dodgers look like and how sharp they look. But at some point, Chaez, you're going to need somebody out of this bullpen to get going, and you're going to need Ohtani to start contributing more on the offensive side as well, because his at-bats have been a little undisciplined, a little too anxious at the plate, and he's just got to calm down, get on base, and then just see the ball go through. That was a positive sign. The RBI single, he had a hard liner as well. So he's getting there. He's just not back to looking like the NL MVP Shohei Ohtani yet, but he'll get there at some point.
He just hit one out of the park if you go on the Dodgers Instagram. Literally out of the park during BP. So I think he's coming home to feel pretty good. So we'll see how he performs at home for the rest of the series. Dodgers have 3 straight games, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, with a chance to close, possibly 2 chances to close it out at home. So I think Ohtani's saving his best stuff for when you need it most, which is these next 2 or 3 games and potentially the World Series. To close it out, we always got to talk a little bit of football. Chris, before we get into picks, can you give me a game that we have to watch this week? Because there's a lot of college games. On Saturday, I'm going to be pretty glued to my television with Tennessee, Alabama, Ole Miss versus Georgia, then the nightcap with USC, Notre Dame. Cannot wait for that. Lakers up by 17 in the third quarter over the Dallas Mavericks in a preseason next to last game of the finale. But getting back to the NFL, Chris, give me a game this week that we have to absolutely watch. And you better not choose the one that I'm thinking about. Uh-oh. Did we lose you again with your connection? Okay.
Yeah, still having some connection issues over here. So bear with me.
We got you. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Just go ahead. We got you.
Yeah. Hear me? By the way.
We got you. Go ahead, man. Well, if you can't hear me, I'll start off first. So the one that I would, yes. All right. So the one that I was going to choose is Buccaneers Lions. Lions coming off of a big loss against the Kansas City Chiefs on the road, albeit. And then you also have the Buccaneers coming off of a huge comeback win over the 49ers. Well, not a comeback win, but a solid win. I believe it was at home with the 49ers on the road. So that's the game that I'm looking forward to. It is a Monday night game. These Monday night doubleheaders are a lot of people complaining about them, but I have so many positive things to say. It's the best time of year. You get 2 football games. I mean, shit, on Monday you had 2 baseball games and 2 football games. So if you had YouTube TV and you had the quad box, you had 2 baseball, 2 football, 2 of them being playoff baseball games. And I was in heaven at that point, albeit no basketball. But at that point, I didn't even really give a damn because you had so many good games going on. You had Bijan Robinson going for over 120 yards. Won me my fantasy matchup, by the way. Thank you, Bijan. And then on top of that, you had the Dodgers winning that crucial game one in Milwaukee, best time of the year. So the number one game that you have to watch is Monday night, Bucks-Lions. I got the Lions spread in that game. I do think that the Lions are going to come out with something to prove because they were just embarrassing the last game, especially with Brian Branch getting suspended for the next game as well. Kirby Joseph, I don't know what he's going to do on that back end of the secondary, but that's the game to watch. Chris, let's see if you have. All right, Chris still not with us. We are going to. I think that the game that Chris should choose. He's probably going to go with Chargers Colts. Yeah, Chargers Colts is probably the game that Chris would probably pick because the Colts are 5-1, Chargers 4-2, Chargers at home, coming off of a big win on the road against Miami, and the Colts just seem to keep rolling. But everybody keeps saying that they didn't beat anybody, essentially. So it's just going to be a hell of a matchup, a hell of a game. And I got the Chargers in that one. I think that the Chargers ultimately at home, the Colts are going to go up against a squad and a coach in Jim Harbaugh that is going to have his team just flat out ready to roll. So I'm going with the Chargers in that one, which leads me to picks to close out the show, guys. Get picks or die trying. Seattle money line. The spread is at 3.5. Seattle is at home on Monday night against the Houston Texans. I'm going to go ahead and say that the 4-2 Seahawks are going to take care of business with the Texans. I don't know about the spread. The hook might get you, so I would play the money line on this one. The earlier you play it, the better value you'll get. If it drops back down to 3 on the spread, I would take Seattle -3 because at least you'll push if it's only a field goal that they win by. But love the money line. Going to go with New England. I love this number at 6.5. It's moved to 7, maybe even 7.5 in some books. I just think that the Patriots are going to take care of business against the Titans. The Titans are absolutely ass cheeks. Ask the quarterback. Cam Ward has said it multiple times, especially publicly. The Titans are just absolutely awful, and they're coming off of a week where they fired their head coach not even midway into his second season with the team. So ultimately, I got the Patriots covering the spread. That might be an absolute bloodbath because you got Mike Vrabel coming back to the Tennessee Titans to play his old team, and he's got an axe to grind and a game to win against his former employer. And last but not least, I'm going to go ahead and write the Bears. The Bears have the lowly Saints coming into Soldier Field. The Bears are rolling right now in terms of, I think, 3 straight wins after being 0-2. Caleb Williams not looking great, but better. And I just think ultimately that spread, I took it at 5.5, but you might be able to find 4.5 out there. If you can get 4.5, play it. I like this number all the way up to, I'd say about 6 to 6.5. So there you have it on the picks for the evening. You got Seattle, New England, Chicago. We went 3-0 last week with Pittsburgh covering the 4.5 or 5.5, depending on when you got it. And then we also had Seattle, so we're going back to the well with them this week. And then we also, last but not least, had the Bears at +4.5. So they got a pretty big number to cover at home, but I think they'll do it. It's just a matter of what Caleb Williams do we see, and can DJ Moore get his head out of his ass and get open for Caleb Williams and catch a few more passes, because DJ Moore is pretty good, and he's paid like a top 10 receiver, and I believe he's not even top 40 right now in terms of rankings or stats or anything like that, production-wise. So there you have it for this week's picks. Thank you guys for tapping in. You guys know where to find us at Chaez P on Instagram and on Twitter as well. Unfortunately, Chris is not with us. He had some connection issues, but we're going to go ahead and close out the show. Oh, actually, Chris might actually still be here. Chris, you there? Do you want to say bye to everybody as we're closing out the show? I know you. I had to do the picks
Sorry
without
about
you,
that
but
tonight. I'm sure. I haven't really had the hot hand with the picks anyway, but we'll see what the Rams do this week against Jacksonville. There's going to be some good games out there this week. Shout out to Carolina. Shout out to some of these teams like the Patriots. They're finding ways to win ball games right now, and starting to look like things are really progressing in the right way. Like, we were not sure about these teams. I think everyone thought they were going to be horrible, but they're winning games and they're looking good. They feel like, Mike Vrabel's done a nice job over there in New England. Liam Cohen with the Jaguars has done a nice job. Even Sean McVay was heaping praise on them. And the Carolina Panthers with Canales is Bryce Young's really starting to, mature and develop. So those are the teams to kind of watch out for. I know there's a lot of teams on bye this week. I don't have the list of games ahead of me because I had to get off my computer. I'm on my phone right now.
right. So as a result, the connection is still pretty bad. So we're going to go ahead and close out the show. We appreciate you guys for tapping in with us on this week's show of the Outlet Forum. We will see you guys next Wednesday, and appreciate you guys tapping in. We'll see you guys next week.